You didn't lose yourself all at once. It happened slowly, in the spaces between conversations, in the moments you brushed something off and told yourself, maybe I'm overreacting. In the nights you felt something was wrong but couldn't name it, couldn't prove it, couldn't explain it to anyone without sounding paranoid. That's not an accident. There are people in this world, some of them close to you, some of them standing right inside your daily life, who understand something about human psychology that most people never study. They know that the most effective way to control someone is to make them control themselves. No chains, no force, no obvious cruelty, just a slow, patient reshaping of how you think, how you feel, how you see yourself. And by the time you notice it, you've already been living in the cage for years. You've just been calling it your personality. Today, we name 7 of these dark psychological operations. We trace them through philosophy, through human history, through the quiet moments of real life. And we do something more important than just expose them. We arm you. Because the most dangerous person in the room is the one who can see.
Let me ask you something. Who told you who you are? Think about that. Really think. Because somewhere along the way, before you had the language, before you had the awareness, someone handed you a story about yourself. And you picked it up, and you carried it, and eventually, you became it. Not because it was true, but because it was repeated. Identity hijacking is not a dramatic event. It doesn't arrive like an attack. It arrives like a slow fog, a quiet accumulation of moments where someone says, "That's just how you are," or "You've always been the emotional one," or even dressed in warmth, "You need people around you. That's not a weakness, it's just you." It sounds like understanding. It sounds like someone who gets you. But what they are actually doing is building your walls for you and then handing you a key that doesn't open anything. Jean-Paul Sartre, one of the great philosophers of human freedom, said something that should echo inside every person alive. He said, "Existence precedes essence," meaning you are not born a fixed thing. You become, you choose, you author yourself through every decision, every act of courage, every moment you refuse the version of you that someone else wrote. But an identity hijacker inverts this completely. They say, "No, your story is already written. I know it better than you do. And now every time you try to write a new chapter, you feel this invisible resistance, like you're betraying something, like you're being unauthentic." But you're not betraying yourself, you're breaking someone else's frame. Ask yourself, the story I believe about who I am, who benefits from me believing it? That question alone can begin to set you free.
Imagine someone gives you a gift. No occasion, no reason, just here because I care about you. It feels beautiful. It feels like love. Now imagine that same person, 3 weeks later, 6 months later, 2 years later, brings that gift back into the room. Not literally, but in the way they look at you when you disappoint them, in the words, "After everything I've done," in the exhausted sigh that carries the weight of every sacrifice they've ever made. The gift was never just a gift. It was an invoice, written in invisible ink, and you signed it without knowing. Emotional debt implanting is one of the oldest manipulation arts in human history, and Seneca, the Roman Stoic, who understood the human heart with terrifying clarity, made a distinction that cuts right to the center of this. He said, "The generous person gives and forgets. The manipulator gives and remembers everything." This is not generosity. This is investment, and it expects compound return. It works because it hijacks something sacred, your gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most beautiful instincts we carry, the desire to honor what was given to you, to not take people for granted, to be a person who remembers. These are not weaknesses. These are signs of a good soul. And that good soul gets exploited. You stay in relationships that hurt you because of debt. You agree to things you know are wrong because of debt. You silence your own needs again and again because somewhere deep in your nervous system, a voice says, "But look at what they gave up for you." Here is the truth that will free you. Love does not keep score. Real care, real unconditional human care, gives and then releases. It does not hover over what it gave, waiting to collect. If someone's generosity always seems to arrive right before they need your compliance, that is not love. That is leverage wearing love's face. You are allowed to be grateful and still say no. You are allowed to honor what someone gave you and still choose yourself. Gratitude and self-sovereignty are not opposites. They never were.
There is a moment, and you felt it, when someone lets you see them break. They cry when they don't have to. They share something they say they've never told anyone. They show you the wound. And something inside you, something ancient and deeply human, responds. You lean in, you soften, you open. Because vulnerability is supposed to be sacred. It's supposed to mean, I trust you enough to let you see the real thing. But what happens when the wound is staged? Controlled vulnerability display is precisely this. It is the strategic, deliberate performance of emotional exposure, timed, calibrated, and deployed to disarm you at exactly the right moment. Not because they're being honest with you, but because they know the moment you see someone bleed, you stop watching your own borders. Nietzsche wrote about the will to power, this fundamental drive within human beings to expand, to assert, to shape reality according to their will. And he understood something dark about it, that power does not always announce itself as power. Sometimes it arrives dressed as helplessness. Sometimes the one who is falling is the one who is winning. You will recognize this pattern by its timing. The vulnerability appears when you are pulling away, when you've made a decision they don't like, when the relationship is at risk of shifting in your favor. Suddenly, they're breaking. Suddenly, they need you. Suddenly, the focus is no longer on what you need, but on what they're carrying. And then, almost mysteriously, they recover. The storm passes. They're fine. Because they were always fine. Compassion is not a flaw. Compassion is a form of power in itself, the power to hold another person's pain without collapsing. But compassion without discernment is a door left permanently open. Watch the timing, watch the recovery, and ask yourself, does their vulnerability consistently serve them? If the answer is yes, you are not witnessing a wound. You are watching a performance, and you deserve a real audience for your own genuine care. They never say you have 24 hours. They don't need to. The clock is invisible, but you feel it ticking. Urgency framing without time pressure is the art of manufacturing a sense of a closing window without an actual deadline. It makes you feel like if you don't decide right now, something irreversible will collapse, something precious will be lost, you will have missed your moment. It sounds like, I just need to know where we stand. It sounds like, I can't keep putting myself out there like this. It sounds like, I thought you were different, but maybe I was wrong about you. No date, no ultimatum, just a pressure that wraps around your chest and whispers, hurry. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who ruled the most powerful empire in the world while somehow remaining inwardly unshaken, wrote about this.
He observed that most suffering comes not from events themselves, but the stories we layer over events. The urgency we feel is a story, and someone else is narrating it into your mind. Here's what happens neurologically when urgency is manufactured. Your rational brain, the part that weighs, considers, and sees the long view, goes quiet, and your fear brain, the part that just needs to act, to escape, to not lose, takes over. Decisions made from that place serve whoever created the pressure, not you. The most powerful thing you can do when someone applies urgency without reason is to slow down, deliberately, almost theatrically slow. Say, "I'll think about it and come back to you," and then watch what happens to the urgency. If it dissolves, it was never real. Real things wait for real answers. Only manufactured pressure needs to strike while the iron is hot. Your pace is not indecision. Your pace is sovereignty.
You don't notice when the world gets smaller. It doesn't happen in a moment. It happens in 1,000 quiet moments of "they don't understand you like I do," and "people outside this won't get it," and "you're overthinking it, it's actually very simple." One by one, like someone slowly drawing the curtains, until the only light you can see is the light they control. Plato wrote one of the most haunting metaphors in all of philosophy, the allegory of the cave. Prisoners chained underground, watching shadows dance on a wall. They have never seen sunlight. They have never seen actual objects. All they know are the shadows, and they believe with complete certainty that the shadows are the whole world. They are not stupid. They are not broken. They are simply limited to what they were allowed to see. Perspective narrowing is the modern cave, and the person engineering it is not always a villain twirling a cape. Sometimes they are a partner, a parent, a community leader, a friend who loves you, but loves more the version of you that needs them. It works by eliminating alternatives, other voices, other opinions, other sources of truth. It works by making you feel like the wideness of the world is actually a threat, that looking outward is betrayal, that questioning is disloyalty. And slowly, you stop looking outward, not because you were forced, because the cage was made to feel like home. The philosopher Epictetus, a man who was literally born a slave and became one of the freest thinkers in human history, understood that true freedom is always an act of expansion, of reaching for more perspectives, more truths, more light. Seek friction intentionally. Talk to people who disagree with you. Read things that make you uncomfortable. Be suspicious, deeply suspicious, of any person, relationship, or group that makes you feel like the outside world just doesn't understand. A wide mind cannot be narrowed without its own consent. Never give that consent.
This one doesn't leave bruises. That's exactly why it's so devastating. It comes in small doses, almost reasonable doses, things you can't quite call abuse, things that when you try to describe to someone else make you sound oversensitive, things that over time make you start to believe that maybe you are oversensitive. You always take things the wrong way. That's not what I meant. Why do you make everything so dramatic? You're so sensitive. It was just a comment. Here we go again. None of these sentences alone is a catastrophe, but stack them week after week, month after month, year after year, and what you're left with is a person who has been slowly, systematically taught that their inner world cannot be trusted. Simone de Beauvoir, the brilliant philosopher who spent her life examining how people are oppressed not by force but by belief,
wrote about how the most effective form of domination does not need a prison. It only needs to convince the person that their own perception is faulty, that they see wrong, feel wrong, interpret wrong. Because once you doubt your own perception, you become dependent on someone else's. And that dependence is not an accident, it was built. This is called conditioning because it works exactly like conditioning. Pavlov's dogs didn't choose to respond to the bell. They were trained. And you, over months of micro-invalidations, are trained to silence yourself before anyone else has to. You stop sharing how you feel, not because you've healed, but because you've learned it's not safe. You become the one who holds it in, who doesn't make a scene, who keeps the peace. But keeping a peace built on the grave of your own inner voice is not peace. It is slow disappearance. Your feelings are not a malfunction. They are information. They don't always mean what they seem to mean, but they always deserve investigation. You are allowed to feel something and ask, what is this telling me? You are not required to ask anyone else's permission to trust what moves inside you. Never let someone else write the operating manual for your soul. Before you speak, the story is already written. This is perhaps the most sophisticated of all 7, because by the time you arrive to share your truth, to defend yourself, to simply explain what happened, the room has already been prepared. The soil has already been seeded. And your truth, when it finally lands in ground that someone else poisoned. I'm a little worried about them lately. They've been really unstable, said to your mutual friends before you've had the chance to speak. I tried everything. They just won't listen, said to your manager before you raised a concern. They don't need to fabricate outright lies. They only need to frame first, because Aristotle, who understood rhetoric as one of the most powerful forces in civilization, knew that whoever controls the frame controls the meaning, not the facts, the frame. The facts can be identical, but given 2 different frames, 2 different pre-existing stories, they produce 2 opposite conclusions. This is not a flaw in human thinking. It is a feature of how the mind works, and it can be exploited. The preemptive narrator goes first, not out of urgency, but out of strategy. They establish your character before you demonstrate it. They define the conflict before you describe it. They write the ending before you've lived it. And then when you speak, you are no longer speaking into open space. You are speaking into a room that has already decided. Here is the only real answer to this, and it is slow, and it is not satisfying in the moment, but it is the only thing that truly works. Build yourself so deeply, so consistently, so honestly over time that the people who matter cannot be rewritten by one conversation. Character is the only armor against character assassination. The people who have watched you, worked alongside you, witnessed you in ordinary moments, they hold a truth that no preemptive story can easily displace. And when someone does this to you, speak calmly, without matching their energy, without desperation. Let your steadiness be the loudest thing in the room. Truth doesn't always arrive first, but it has this one remarkable quality. It lasts.
You've just been handed a map of 7 territories where the human mind can be entered without permission. 7 doors that manipulators know how to open quietly, carefully, without triggering any alarm. And I imagine right now something is moving through you. Not just information, something more personal, a kind of retroactive seeing,
where you look back at certain relationships, certain periods of your life, certain versions of yourself, and you begin to understand something you couldn't name before. Let that be okay. Awareness is not a wound. Awareness, even when it hurts, is always a form of healing. The Stoics spoke of something called prohairesis, your faculty of deliberate choice, the one territory of human existence that cannot be colonized by anyone else. Not your circumstances, not the stories people told about you, not the debts they manufactured, or the identities they installed, or the urgency they fabricated. Your inner response remains yours. It has always been yours. This is what the silent strength mindset is built on. Not silence as surrender, not strength as aggression, but a particular kind of power. The power that does not announce itself, that does not need to perform itself, that does not shrink in the presence of manipulation, but also does not react to it, does not give it the energy it was designed to consume. The person with silent strength sees the manipulation, and instead of igniting, they stabilize. They do not need to expose the game in the room. They simply stop playing it, quietly, without ceremony. Lao Tzu wrote, "Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." This is what we are building here, on this channel, in these conversations. Not mastery over anyone else, not suspicion as a way of life, not the exhausted hypervigilance of someone who trusts nothing and no one, but sovereignty, the deep, quiet, unshakable kind. You now know how your identity can be authored by someone else, so you take the pen back. You know how gratitude can be weaponized, so your generosity stays free. You know how vulnerability can be performed, so you honor real openness without losing yourself in it. You know how urgency is manufactured, so you reclaim your pace. You know how your world can be made smaller, so you keep reaching outward. You know how your feelings can be slowly invalidated, so you stay faithful to your inner world. You know how your story can be told before you speak, so you live in a way that speaks for itself. This is not paranoia. This is literacy, the kind that makes you harder to rewrite. Carry yourself quietly. Move through the world with depth rather than noise. Let your stillness be the most powerful thing in every room. Because the person who has done this work, the one who has looked honestly at the dark, understood it, and chosen not to become it, that person carries something that manipulation can never reach. They carry themselves, and that is everything. I'll see you in the next one.